Congressman Griffin, let's begin with the non-controversial Representative Ryan budget plan that has been at the top of the agenda for everybody these past couple of weeks. I'm obviously joking about it being non-controversial. Medicare has been one of the most controversial parts of this plan that comes out of here. Let me ask the question this way. Why do we not just get a Medicare plan that offers some basic services, catastrophic services, and let the private market kind of add on the additional private insurance that someone would need to go forward with that? In order to control cost, in order to contain costs on Medicare, why is that not part of the plan versus this voucher program?
Well, I'd say a couple things. First of all, it's not a voucher program. And if you look at the origins of this plan, it goes back to the Clinton Medicare Commission. 1998 was appointed, and 1999 they put the report out. That was led by Senator Breaux of Louisiana and Congressman Thomas. And they talked about a premium support plan, which is what this plan is. This plan is based on what they were talking about in that Medicare Commission. And I got a quote yesterday, actually, from Senator Breaux from '99, where he says, this is not a voucher plan. A lot of people are going to call it that because politically that's what they want to say. But a voucher plan would be where you get a voucher and you, separate from the government, go out and just shop on the open market. That's not what this is. This replicates what members of Congress and federal employees have, in that the federal government is still in charge, and they pick and choose who can compete within this framework for your business. And I have never heard a member of Congress say, I have a voucher plan. I've never heard a member of Congress say they don't like their plan. And this is the sort of plan that Senator Breaux and Senator Kerry of Nebraska backed then, and it's what we're adopting now. To your broader question of allowing for sort of a supplement to the government, well, that's to some extent what we have with Medicare Advantage and some of the other plans. This keeps all of it under the federal government, and that is why it is not privatized. It is managed by, the guidelines are chosen by, established by the federal government. Ultimately, this is about doing a couple things. First of all, it's about saving Medicare. Now, a lot of people are saying, this gets rid of Medicare as we know it. Well, Medicare as we know it is bankrupt in 8 to 9 years. If someone really wanted to get rid of Medicare, they wouldn't propose a bold reform. They would do nothing. If you do nothing, the status quo will kill Medicare. So first and foremost, we all acknowledge, well, most of us acknowledge, that Medicare is on its way to bankruptcy. What this does ultimately is it is a path to change Medicare for people under 55, yes, but it's a path to save Medicare. If you wanted to do something bad to Medicare, you would simply do nothing, and it would take care of itself.
Let's talk about another aspect of the Ryan plan, and that is that it does actually cut some of the spending for the military, about $78 billion over the course of the 10 years, which unfortunately is kind of chump change in the grand scheme of what we're talking about with trillions of dollars. We have a large spread out military operation all over the world, 2 wars at work. Is there more savings to be had from efficiencies and paring back our military spending than the $78 billion that's even in here? Should we be looking at that in that direction?
We need to be looking everywhere. I'm not ruling anything out. And a lot of the efficiencies that you're talking about are ones that were recommended by Secretary of Defense Bill Gates. Not Bill Gates, sorry. Secretary of Defense Gates. And what's interesting about that is Secretary Gates and the Budget Committee, they looked at this, and we talk about cuts, but there is a difference between, often there's a difference between a Washington cut and a cut to you and me. And what I mean by that is, to us, if you receive more money next year than you received this year, that's not a cut. Well, in Washington, if you slow the growth, even though you're going up, that's a cut. So to be fair, when you talk about cuts in the context of this budget, a lot of them are savings. They wouldn't be really cuts to you and me. For example, there's not one penny of cuts in Medicare or Medicaid in this budget. They are continuing to grow. They're continuing to increase, just not as fast. Now, with the defense budget, it's the same type deal. The defense budget has continued to grow. And people talk about defense cuts because it's not as much as this person wanted or that person wanted. But ultimately, that budget, in real terms, has grown every year. We've got to look everywhere we can to identify places to save in the defense budget. And you may have seen that I fought the alternate engine program for the F-35. F-35 fighter has a good engine. The government was funding competition for their own engine. And that engine program we voted down, and there was some talk about getting it going again. Well, it was canceled this week. There's a lot more, in my view, that can be saved. We shouldn't do it willy-nilly and just go in and start slashing because we have troops that count on it. But we should conduct vigorous oversight, and we should hold the Department of Defense accountable, and we should look for places where we can save. Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't know. The Department of Defense is required to produce auditable financial statements. They haven't done it, ever. They can't do it. They are unable. So I am working on some legislation that would set some benchmarks and require them to check in with Congress and tell us how they're doing to get to that point. Every taxpayer dollar is precious, whether it's at DOD or somewhere else, and we've got to make sure it's being spent wisely. And I can't look you in the eye or that camera and say all the money at DOD is being spent wisely, because I know it's not. And I can't even tell you that all of it's being spent on national security, because it's not.
And you don't have auditable statements.
You don't have auditable financial statements for DOD, and that's got to change.